My grays are showing, and we're gonna go get them fixed so they're not showing anymore in a little bit here. And I thought I would jump on and address a comment that continues to come up. I think that this is just a widespread misunderstanding about who the beast and the false prophet are, and specifically what segment. And this is aside from even what segment of the 70th week they belong to, but who they even are. Revelation 4 tells you what Revelation's beasts are. In discussing the four beasts round about the throne, they're cherubim angels. And in discussion about Lucifer having fallen and he was the one that covered, he's also a cherubim. So he would have been originally one of the beasts around the throne. And he obviously is no longer. We should understand from the imagery, because Revelation is going to explain itself. It's either going to lead you to other scriptures to discuss context, because all of the imagery presented in Revelation appears in other places in the Bible. And then concepts that were introduced at the beginning are going to build. So Revelation will always wind up explaining itself. When you get to Revelation 13, Beast 1 and Beast 2, you should already know that they are angels based on the imagery presented in Revelation 4. And also in Revelation 9, where it specifically says that the beast, the angel of the bottomless pit, is Apollyon, who's going to ascend out of the bottomless pit in Revelation 11 and then overcome and kill the two witnesses, which is why he's given the appearance of a deadly head wound, because angels can't die. And also why he and the false prophet aren't just killed in Armageddon. They're sent directly to the lake of fire, which Jesus says in Matthew 25 is reserved for the devil and his angels. So there's a lot of stuff in Revelation that sets up the case to understand in Revelation 13. By that time, you should know that Beast 1 and Beast 2 are angels. Revelation 19 tells you why they're going immediately to the lake of fire, because it's reserved for the devil and his angels, of which those are two. Revelation 4 told you that the beasts are cherubim. Satan is also a cherubim who was once in the throne room. How art thou fallen, O Lucifer? I want to say there's a chapter in Ezekiel, it's escaping me right now, maybe 28. I can't remember offhand. And obviously, the one that a lot of people quote from is Isaiah 14. But the beasts in Revelation are exclusively angels. This is also how you know that the 10 kings are going to be angels that reappear, because they are also described as iron who will attempt to mix with miry clay. Isaiah 28:29 talks about the potter's clay. Does the clay say to the potter, I'm better than you, essentially? You always know that when you're talking about clay imagery from the Old Testament, and obviously in Revelation, it's just in the Old Testament, in Daniel and Isaiah, you're always talking about humanity. So when you're talking about the mixing of iron and miry clay, you're talking about an attempted mixing of angelic beings with humanity, which is exactly what they tried to do in the days of Noah. So then you go back to this Jude in 1st and 2nd Peter, who explains who these angels are, why they're in the bottomless pit, why they're confined, what their time is. 2 Thessalonians, he shall be revealed in his time. There's a very broad conversation about this. It goes back to the days of Noah, the angels who sinned against humanity and corrupted the genetic DNA, which is what they're going to attempt to do. You know, the whole iron mixed with miry clay from Daniel, they're going to attempt it again. They were the ones who got confined in the bottomless pit. They're in chains under darkness until judgment of the great day. Well, the great day starts in Revelation 6. The great day of his wrath is come. So you have loosing of bound angels who were bound since the days of Noah as agents of wrath upon people during the 70th week. This is specifically why the beast has a time. He shall be revealed in his time, as Paul states in 2 Thessalonians 2. because that time is reserved for, there's a specific appointed time that he rises, and then he's given power to continue 40 and 2 months. While I understand that we have a tendency to diminish the supernatural because we don't have access to it. Like, we know theoretically that it exists, conceptually we know that it exists, but we don't have physical access to it, like visual, physical access to it. So there's a lot that we bring down to an understandable level. We try to interpret the supernatural through the natural lens. And when you're talking about revelation and the reappearance of things that occurred in the past, that's why it's important to know what happened, the story behind everything, in as much as it's possible, and why you use Old and New Testament to do that. But specifically Jude, 1st and 2nd Peter give you basically all of the information that you need about these angelic hosts, where they are. These are the wicked spirits who Jesus descended into the lowest parts of the earth to proclaim victory over during the 3 days when he was in the heart of the earth. Why did he do that? Well, because he essentially took the power away from them, the power of death and of hell. And so for 2,000 years, one of the wicked spirits, Apollyon, the beast, the king of the locusts, the angel of the bottomless pit, has essentially been just biding his time, waiting for the time that he's going to be released in order to terrorize the world, because he's probably ticked off because Jesus went and proclaimed victory over him thousands of years before that victory is even going to be accomplished. And there's a whole, conversation you can get into about that. But I think that there are certain teachers, and this is something that is pervasive in the end times community, is they think there's going to be some kind of a demonic possession or something like that. And then so I would ask the question, how many times are we told throughout the Gospels that Jesus cast out devils? So why would he not just cast out the devil or the demon out of this possessed guy if that's truly what you believe? There's a track record, a proven years-long track record during Jesus' first coming of him casting out devils out of people. So why would he throw Beast 1 and Beast 2 into the lake of fire if they're just possessed and he could just cast out whatever is possessing them? Because that's a faulty argument. It's a faulty argument with a faulty premise. There is no, and I wrote about this, I want to say, in my Revelation 9 and 11 study. There is a lot of talk about Nimrod, how he was a prototype of this beast. He became a mighty man. So there was some kind of genetic alteration. He became a mighty man. And so that's where people get the idea that this beast in Revelation is going to undergo some type of process to become a mighty man. And again, there's a lot of people who think there's going to be some kind of possession or something like that. And then you get into the whole conversation of, well, there's actually no precedent in the Bible for angelic possession. He's an angel. Very clearly stated, the beast of the bottomless pit is an angel. In the plain text of Revelation 9:11, it says that. So then people will say, well, maybe he possesses the rider on the white horse in Revelation 6. There is no biblical precedent for angels possessing anyone. The only case that people will ever try to make is that they think that Satan went into Judas. No. In John 13:2, it very clearly states that he put it in Judas's heart. He did not physically possess Judas. There's a verse in Luke and a verse in John 13 further down in the chapter that people pull from. The context is set from that in John. I want to read this because this is a sticking point for a lot of people. Now, before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. And supper being ended, the devil, having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. The heart is deceitfully wicked above all things. Say, guard your heart. So, he did not physically possess Judas. There are a lot of people who will run around saying that, and so they'll use that as a template to say, well, Satan did it to Judas, so Satan's going to do it to, or some other entity is going to do it to the beast in Revelation 13. He's going to become possessed or something like that. All of which is a faulty argument. When you understand who the beast is, what the beast is, why he's where he is, what he did in the past, he's going to do again in the future. Daniel's statue and the legs of iron, that's your beast and your false prophet, your two angels, and your feet of iron, angels also mixed with miry clay. So there's going to be an attempt to genetically alter again, but it says they shall not cleave one to another. The attempted alteration is going to be through worship of the beast, the image of the beast, or the mark of the beast. Probably the mark of the beast. Because when you note in the sequence of events in Revelation, in specifically after it's like a mass death event for people who don't do those things, and a mass life event, I guess they just don't die, of the people who do those things. Of all of the people who worship the beast, his image, and receive his mark, Revelation 16's vile judgments are specifically aimed at them. The first is a noisome, grievous sore upon those who receive the mark of the beast. And there is no human death recorded throughout throughout the vial judgments, the bowl judgments at all in Revelation 16, which means that there is some genetic alteration which is forcing these people to live through these heinous judgments, because that is the beginning of the wrath of God being poured upon them eternally. In Revelation 14, it says, whosoever shall worship the beast, his image, receive his mark, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and the smoke of their torment ascendeth, present tense, always, continually. From the time they do that continually, the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night who worship the beast, his image, and whosoever should receive the mark of his name. So that's a physical torment, to be eternal in whatever form they are in, but they're not allowed to physically die until Armageddon, and then that begins their eternal torment in whatever form they're in at that point, spiritual or otherwise. So I get that there are some interesting ideas out there that really are just not accurate, and it leads to a misunderstanding of, first of all, the power that these entities will possess and why it's going to be so heinous during the second half of the 70th week. Because you are going to have incalculable power demonstrated by these beings who have a might that we simply cannot fathom, because we are not privy to those things in our current time. The supernatural doesn't operate in the physical, visible realm to where we can see. And so we have a tendency to make things explainable, understandable to us in terms that, like I said, we understand, which totally minimizes what that is and brings it down to, it brings it to an answer that's just not accurate. So Revelation tells you exactly what it means with regard to the beasts. They're cherubim angels. And I guess I don't know specifically if the beast and the false prophet would be cherubim. I don't know all of the angelic types. The beasts in the throne room are cherubim. Regardless, the beasts are angels. And you are specifically told that beast 1 from Revelation 13 is the king of the locusts, the angel of the bottomless pit. He is leg of iron. The beast 2 is going to be a other leg of iron from Daniel 2's Nebuchadnezzar's statue. He's going to be an angel also, because he is described as a beast. This is just imagery that Revelation uses to describe angelic, good or bad. Obviously, the 4 beasts in the throne room are good. Satan and his angels are bad, which is why they're going to end up in the lake of fire. Again, that's why they're tossed directly into the lake of fire, the beast and the false prophet in Revelation 19, because it's reserved for the devil and his angels, of which they are 2. And then Satan, after the 1,000 years are expired, and after Gog and Magog, he gets tossed into the lake of fire where the beast and the false prophet are at that point already, and will have been for 1,000 years. I mean, if you guys have questions about this, I have extensive studies written in my Revelation study, which is available on my academia page for free. Chapters Revelation 9, 11, 13, 17. All over the place and repeated. And then it's going to be also in my playlist. I have a playlist on my channel, which is called The Beast, Daniel and Revelation. And the videos are titled Names for Revelation's Beast in the OT and NT, identifying him and the placement of those events in the 70th week. Part 1, the beast, false prophet, and Satan being separate beings, separate purposes, and no indwelling. This is one of the easiest things to refute, is that Satan would indwell anyone. In Revelation 16, Vial 6, there's frogs that come out of the mouth of wicked spirits, evil spirits, that come out of the mouth of the dragon and the beast and the false prophet. Which tells you they're three separate. No one's indwelling, because that would make two into one. That's a faulty argument for a lot of reasons. But anyway, part 2 of that is the beast, false prophet, and Satan, separate times, places, heavens versus the bottomless pit. And then there's a part 3, who are they, where are they, and why are they there? Those are probably the best videos to discuss this information. But again, it's written about extensively in my Revelation study. I understand that this is a sticking point for a lot of people. I mean, it kind of doesn't matter, at least for us, because we're not going to be here. But perhaps when you have a better understanding of the magnitude of the evilness that will run rampant in the earth during the second half of the 70th week, because of who is behind it and the power that they possess in order to bring things to fruition, I think it's a point of being even more grateful that we are going to be kept from all of this. And anyone who thinks that they would be able to live through that is a fool. Sorry. That's a foolish thought. Maybe they're not a fool. That is a foolish thought. So anyway, I wanted to kind of clarify some things for those who may have misunderstood this. There's a lot of information, like I said, Jude, 1st and 2nd Peter, to explain who they are, why they are there, when they shall be released, the fact that they could not have been released from the time that they were bound until the time that they are unbound and ascend during, Revelation's events. There's a whole bunch of explanation. And then obviously the beast imagery plainly tells you they're angels if the plain text doesn't, which it also does. So hopefully this has clarified some confusion. But if not, I have, like I said, those references that I would refer you to, and they should explain whatever other questions you might have. See you guys later.